Members of Central Coast community, welcome to our Australia Day celebrations. My name is James McCormack and I'm one of your hosts for this morning. We're delighted to have you all here. Could I start by acknowledging VIPs for today, Tasmanian parliamentarians, Premier Jeremy Rockcliffe, Shane Broad, Leonie Hiskett. Could I also acknowledge the presence of Senator for Tasmania, Jackie Lambie. And could I acknowledge also the presence of all Central Coast councillors here today. And a special acknowledgement, which I'm delighted to give, as announced in today's Australia Day Awards, Michael Walsh, who I believe is currently behind a barbecue over to the other side, was made an Order of Australia medal holder. So congratulations to Michael Walsh, OAM. Okay, just minor housekeeping matters, minor but can be important. Toilets up to your right up there. All access toilets are here at the rear of the rowing club. So for full access toilets over here to the left behind the rowing club. Could I ask you also to be sun safe, to be sun smart, and to ensure that you remain hydrated, because we're outside and it is, for our part of the world, it's a pretty sunny, warm day.
Hi everyone, I'm Tara Woodhouse. I'm co-hosting today for this event. I'd like to thank the Ulster Municipal Band for the entertainment during breakfast this morning. So give them a round of applause.
Thanks, Tara. It's now our pleasure to welcome the Scouts and Guides to conduct the flag raising ceremony for today. Over to the Scouts.
Thank you, Tasmanian Scouts. I'd like to invite Talira Gale onto the stage to sing the national anthem for us today.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soils and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Talira, thank you very much for that beautiful performance. And I'm just thinking that for the next few minutes, I think my major task will be to stop my hat blowing off. Again, thank you, Talira. I'd now like to welcome Lyndon and Aaron to conduct for us a Welcome to Country.
Dagon. Ya Palingana Mina, Ya Palingana Nina, Truena, Latrawida, Konakonanenga, Melatina. Greetings and welcome. My name is Aaron. I'm a proud Toowoolaway man, a direct descendant of Malalagana. Our ancestral grandfather, leader, seer and formidable warrior of the North East Nation. Father of Watchurotramena, our mother, the mother of Dalrymple Briggs Johnson. I ask you to open your eyes, your hearts and minds to see the country through an Aboriginal lens, for our land is sacred, our people are unique and our country is precious. Country is all that is, was and will forever be. Country encapsulates the land, seas and sky world above today. I welcome you here in the spirit of reconciliation as we pay our respects to the people and to the elders, knowing that the ancestors continue with us always in country. So, thank you.
Cheryl, we've just got a token of appreciation for inviting us here today on behalf of all the communities, for the way in which the Central Coast Council is embracing the national journey of reconciliation and the journey of a voice to appear within the decision-making and leadership of our country. The truth-telling and pathway to treaty brings us to a new beginning in the history of Australia. So one of our traditional tools is what is known as the fire stick. It's used to carry fire and to add fire to the landscape as caretakers. Fire being formless, it carries the essence of the plants. The spirit within the smoke is therefore also useful in ceremony. So we're pleased to present today to yourself, Cheryl, a fire stick made from local botanicals.
Would somebody like to be the kid? What a privilege. Thank you, Lyndon and Aaron, James and Tara. What a wonderful gathering in a wonderful location, and I'm so pleased to be here with you today in my first Australia Day as your Mayor. For those of you that know me, my customary greeting, unless I'm being very formal, is g'day. So what a better day for me to greet all my new friends and acquaintances just like that. G'day. Let's try that again. G'day. Even better, how about you turn to the person beside you and say g'day. It's an Australian thing to do, isn't it, to turn two perfectly good words like good day into one faster word that takes less effort. If English is one of the world's hardest languages to learn, then Australian must be even harder. I'm full of admiration for our new Australians who have to navigate the English language and then the everyday language. The national theme for Australia Day this year is Reflect, Respect and Celebrate. On Australia Day, we reflect on our past. We accept the truth of our history and think about how we all have a contribution to make to the story of Australia. Just as there are those who are concerned about the date and what it means for First Nations people, there are those for which this day holds great meaning. We are privileged to live in a nation where we can all have our views, our values and our beliefs. It is a day to respect the deep connection to country that First Nations people hold and think about how we are all defined by the land on which we live, from the fresh water to the salt water, the rainforest to the desert. A day to celebrate being part of a diverse and multicultural nation, and we are doing all of that today here in Central Coast. Through a welcome to country from Lyndon and Aaron, members of our First Nations peoples. Hearing from our ambassador, Tom Dunbabin, his story about his own family history in 19th century Van Diemen's Land and their service in World War II. And welcoming 12 new citizens who have chosen to call our home their home. We're all part of the story of Australia, from those whose ancestors walked on country for tens of thousands of years to the newest Australian citizens. So now it's time for our new citizens to take their pledge and to be welcomed by you all. Can I ask our new citizens to come forward to the grassed area in front of the stage?
That's two. This citizenship ceremony is conducted under the authority of the Minister for Immigration and Citizenship and is prescribed in the Australian Citizenship Act of 2007. And it is my pleasure to read a message from the Honourable Andrew Gillies, MP, Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Multicultural Affairs. Thank you for deciding to become an Australian citizen. Today you join a nation that is one of the world's most successful multicultural societies, with around half of all Australians either born overseas or at least with one parent born overseas. In Australia, everyone can be proud of who they are, and everyone should be respected, valued and feel a sense of belonging. We are privileged to share this beautiful country with the world's oldest continuing culture. This is a fundamental part of who we are. For more than 60,000 years, First Nations peoples have cared for country. Appreciating and understanding this truth is a vital part of what it means to be Australian. Australians are united by our shared commitment to democracy and the rule of law, and to freedom of speech, religion and association. Our diversity is our greatest strength, and we prosper by embracing this. We believe in a society in which everyone is equal, regardless of their gender, faith, sexual orientation, age, ability, race, nation or ethnic origin. Ours is the land of a fair go, in which respect and compassion underpin our care for each other and our willingness to reach out to those around us in times of need. By becoming an Australian citizen, you make a commitment to these values and to contributing by our evolving Australian story. On behalf of the Australian Government, heartfelt congratulations on becoming an Australian citizen. And the preamble for the citizenship ceremonies is: Australian citizenship represents full and formal membership of the community of the Commonwealth of Australia, and Australian citizenship is a common bond involving reciprocal rights and obligations, uniting all Australians whilst respecting their diversity. Persons on whom Australian citizenship is conferred enjoy these rights and undertake to accept these obligations by pledging loyalty to Australia and its people, and by sharing their democratic beliefs, and by respecting their rights and liberties, and by upholding and obeying the laws of Australia. We have two pledges that the new citizens were able to choose from today. We've nominally called them Pledge 1 and Pledge 2. And so firstly I will ask the group that are taking Pledge 1 to do so with me. You may or may not be able to hear them depending on where you are, but I'd ask them to do it together as a group now.
From this time forward under God, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and those laws I will uphold and obey.
And for those undertaking pledge too, off you go, Malcolm, lead the way.
Okay. From this time forward, I pledge my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey.
Please join me in congratulating our new Australian citizens and thanking them for Choose Central Coast. Thank you. We have some presents. Just talk amongst yourselves while we give out some gifts.
Thank you for standing beside me so I don't feel so full.
Yes, I think I chose the right spot this time.
Brandon, a present. Lauren, a present.
Oh, nice bottle.
Just hold it.
Just hold up.
You can look at it.
Put the Vegemite on it as well.
Those ones are heavier, so I suspect that they might have wine in them, but probably doesn't. Jasmine's probably
Sounds
doesn't.
really right. Thank you very much.
It's okay? So, oh, thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
So, Melissa, where would you want us to be?
Just in front of the banner would be lovely.
So we'll stay right here?
Yes, you stay there.
I'll stand at the back. That's my spot. take a half a step forward.
Keeping Mel as long as I'm out of shot. Well, members of the community, please join me in again welcoming our newest Australian citizens. Congratulations to you all. And Mayor Fuller, as presiding officer, thank you for conducting the ceremony. Now, we have an opportunity to conduct what's called an affirmation. Mayor Fuller, would you like to lead us in that? So for those of us who already have Australian citizenship, you'll see on page 2 of your program there is a voluntary affirmation that you could take if you want to, and I will invite the Mayor to lead us in that.
If you give me a copy, James.
Oh, very good.
Programs are at a premium today. We're sharing on stage. It is a lovely opportunity to voluntarily reconfirm your commitment to Australia. So I invite you to join me for those who wish to. As an Australian citizen, I affirm my loyalty to Australia and its people, whose democratic beliefs I share, whose rights and liberties I respect, and whose laws I will uphold and obey. Thank you.
Okay, I think now back to time.
We're good?
Thank you, Mayor Fuller.
I'd like to welcome up to the stage Ambassador Tom Dunbadman to... Yeah. Huh?
Give us an address. To give us an address.
To give us an address on Australia Day.
Oh, Tom.
Thank you very much, and for the welcome, and especially thank you for the welcome to country. They're always moving, and I'm always really pleased to be a part and be involved in those. I must confess that Ulverston isn't a place I've spent a lot of time in. I've fond memories of staying at a holiday camp along the road with a child, with my parents. We visited sites, the Guns Plains Cove, the caves, and an uncle and a aunt who had a dairy farm out that way. Just down the road is Gawler. It's a place I have a historical connection to, and if you indulge me for a minute or two, I would like to relate a family story concerning a family in the district. During World War I, my grandfather, like so many young Australian men, joined the army and went to England for training on what has accurately been described as the killing fields of France. It's a pleasure to be here today and in the Anzac Park to actually relay this story because it's really relevant. He was 22 and enlisted on the 30th of October 1916. A farmer from Bremcree, he did his initial training at the Claremont camp north of Hobart. The following week, Aid Rotcliffe, 21, from Gawler, enlisted. I understand it's a family that's pretty well known in these parts. He too was a farmer, and they became mates for the rest of their time in the army, travelling together. They sailed to England as reinforcements aboard the Siang B in February 1817, trained in England as signallers, crossed the English Channel to France in March 1818, and joined the 47th Battalion, based near Amiens in northern France. Both were allotted to A Company. In early April, the 47th Battalion relieved the 45th in the frontline trenches near Dernancourt. On the morning of April the 5th, the Germans attacked. A Company was all but wiped out. Sorry, this is really personal stuff. Aid was reported missing, but William survived. When communications broke down early in the attack, he was sent as a runner to Field HQ for orders. The remnants of the 47th withdrew the following day. Of the 1,000 men who went into the front line, 700 were either killed or wounded. The remaining men were allocated to different other battalions. During his time away, William wrote letters home to his family regularly. A few days after Aid was missing, he wrote to his father, "My mate Rotcliffe was killed or taken prisoner, so I am on my own pretty much now. There is just a remote chance that he was wounded early in the fight and walked out, but I don't think he did from what I can hear." He enclosed a letter to Rock's father asking that he post it on. Later that month, William, writing to his sister, said, "It's rotten when mum's mates go west. I can tell you a chap feels lost without them, and they are such splendid chaps too. I think Rock must be killed. They've got a list of prisoners the Fritz took in the Dernancourt battle, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm still hoping against hope that his name is on it." Rock's name was not on that list. William returned, married, and went farming on the family property. He grazed sheep on the native pastures and bush when fire and fencing and sheepdogs were the main technology that he used. He harvested wallaby and possum skins during the winter, and during the 1930s they brought him more income than the rest of the farming operations. He expanded and bought additional land. From the 1950s, my father took over management from William. He took on his management ethos. But he did adopt some new technologies. He cleared and sowed pasture on the better soil areas. He increased the soil numbers. He selectively harvested timber. And he expanded buying more land. From the 1980s, it was my turn. Continued with the pasture development and establishment, increased the stocking rate of sheep and cattle. We established some plantations. The part that we varied from previous generations, we actually put covenants on a lot of that bushland to protect its natural and heritage values. We purchased the Coin for grazing and conservation. It's a property near Ross that had extensive areas of native bush and pasture, as well as a rich archaeological Tasmanian Aboriginal archaeological history. Wallabies and possums became our friends, sort of. We still had to fence them out from our pasture areas, but I could see that nature conservation on the properties like ours was going to be very important in the future. My son Matthew and his wife Vanessa took over management from the year 2000. You'll note that previous generations did it for 30 years and I only did it for 20, which was... They had PhDs in agriculture, they embraced change, but still managed it within the land capability. They developed irrigation with a 1,500 megalitre dam, they planted a vineyard, and they developed a cellar door and a restaurant to sell the wine from that vineyard. They also adopted some new concepts to my generation, the one of paddock to plate food production. As I said, they had wine made from the grapes they grew, and they sold lamb from the farm through that restaurant. They also used local products, oysters, potatoes, cheese, milk, chocolate, all produced within a few kilometres of the property. The conservation efforts continued. The property was the centre of a lot of the devil program activity. First of all, mapping the devil's ecology and understanding the effect of the disease, and later on as a reintroduction area for captive bred devils which were free of the disease. They developed carbon accounting. Bengal has 22,000 tonnes of stored carbon and sequests 3,500 tonnes every year, emitting 2,000 tonnes through the restaurant, the vineyard and all the other farming activities. It's important that farmers of today understand the carbon footprint that they have. Not all farms are able to have such a large forest resource to sequester such a large amount of carbon, but every farm has something that they can do, and Tasmania is among the forefront of Australia's farmers in getting into that side of what is going to be a very big business into the future. In concluding today, I want to return where I started with mateships. William and Aid were mates with shared experience, but not an enduring one. I'm sure they supported each other. Australia has an enduring legacy of friends, friendship, support for each other through thick and thin, fires, floods, all sorts of dramas, but also its celebrations, celebrating all the wonderful things that we've been talking about today. Strangers helping out in times of need is something that I've experienced firsthand at Dunalley during the fires a decade or so ago. Our farm was burnt extensively, about a third of it, losing extensive areas of fencing and a lot of infrastructure. What I found most empowering and also very humbling was the support and help we got from all sorts of people, including strangers. Little things like we had a fridge that was running off a generator we used in the shearing shed as central to our fire management operations, and when I'd come back there at night, it'd be full of food. No idea where it came from. No idea who left it. Very finally, to the citizens we welcome here today, thank you very much for joining our community. For the award recipients which we're about to hear about, congratulations and thank you for your efforts. And for all those who are here today, who build community, a heartfelt thank you very much. And finally, for having Kathy and I here today, thank you.
Tom's not go yet. Mayor Fuller, would you like to come and present the ambassador pin to Tom, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. And enjoy the rest of
Tom, thank you. We now move to the presentations for Australia Day award presentations. Mayor Fuller. You need that.
I will. Challenge of the day. Keep your hat on, don't lose the paper. So another joyous part of today's celebrations is to recognise the achievements and the activities of people in our community and to say thank you. So it is my great pleasure to firstly announce the award for the Young Citizen of the Year for 2023, and I ask Oliver DePoli-Cubank to join me on stage. And despite being a sports person, Oliver is just strolling ever so casually. It's a big training session. Yeah. No, come on over. Thank you. Let me tell you about Oliver. Oliver DePoli-Cubank has had a remarkable past 12 months of AFL, playing and training here in Ulverston, starting out his first season of playing senior footy as a 15-year-old with the Ulverston Robins in the NWFL competition, where he took out the Advocates Rising Star Award and the CFM Young Player of the Year Award. Starting footy through Auskick and junior ranks in Ulverston, Oliver in primary school represented Tasmania in the under-12 state team that played interstate at the National Carnival. Ollie, as a midfielder wing, I'm going to pretend like I know what that means, has typically been one of the more compact members of the team, but makes up for size with a huge heart for competition and determination, a love for the game and of his teammates. Whilst quietly spoken, he is noticed by his actions to get the role he has at hand done effectively, noticed maybe not so fondly by his opponents, being a key asset to his team. As best and fairest in the NWFL in the under-12s, captain of the under-14s Ulverston Premiership team, and then the association's best and fairest in his under-16 season, Oliver has already made some outstanding achievements before being selected in the 2021 participation of the AFL Tassie Devils Academy, where he was able to play games in a limited championship due to COVID restrictions. It goes on. His other sporting achievements include his selection in the State Development Program for basketball, playing representative basketball for the Coast and Tasmania at Country Club Interstate, playing at a high level with the Ulverston Redhoppers, proudly wearing the red and black indoors, on the boards, as well as on the field. 2022 was the year Ollie was selected in the Tassie Devils under-16 state team as captain, the team having success undefeated through the series. Oliver was recognised with the prestigious National Under-16 Alan McLean Medal, MVP for the championships, and was named on the wing of an All-Australian team for the series, both awards acknowledging a stellar season by Oliver. Within the Devils program, Oliver also won the Grant Birchall Medal, Under-16's MVP for the year, described by his coaches as a valuable member of the team, coachable and highly regarded by his teammates. Conditioning and strength training, craft and craft and team sessions, game reviews are all part of the continual learning space that Oliver has dedicated time and effort to refining his craft and the sport of his choice. His leadership skills, which are valued by his team and coaches, are an integral part of what makes Ollie tick. Encouraging to others and leading by example to his peers, playing at a level beyond his years, with a mature and a grounded persona. Ollie is a modest young member of the Ulverston community who only recently became an accredited bronze medal holder, who will also embark, he tells me today, on a volunteer patrol at the Ulverston beach. And don't we need them? A shining and inspiring example to all of those around him of what can be achieved here on the central coast of Tasmania. Wow, Ollie, that's huge. Would you like to say something? Yeah, good. Do you want me to hold these while you do that?
Yeah, that's all right. Thanks.
My pleasure.
It is an honour and a privilege to win the Australia Day Young Citizen of the Year award. Congratulations to our nominees. I'd like to thank the Ulverston Football Club for the nomination. I feel privileged to have grown up in a community that has top quality sporting facilities that I've been able to utilise and enjoy. I'd like to acknowledge and thank all my coaches, mentors, family and friends that have supported me. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'll see you later for a photo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ollie. That's fabulous. And while we're speaking of Young Australians of the Year, I think we have the youngest member of the Central Coast community with us today, young Connor over here. Young Connor is a week old. Do we have anybody here younger than Connor? No, I didn't think so. Welcome, Connor. We hope to see you here every year. Moving on. It is my great pleasure to announce, so we have 2 Citizens of the Year for this year, which just goes to show what great work our folks are doing. And my first presentation is to Mrs. Lenice Wilson. I've known Lenny for a long time, so I'm very pleased to be able to present this award to her today. Let me tell you about Lenny. Lenice Wilson has lived and volunteered in the Penguin community for many years, working at the Penguin Primary School and now Penguin District School, working alongside families and community to nurture young members of the community. Still involved with both the school and her other love, basketball, Lenice is an active life member of the Penguin Basketball Club, where she still volunteers when time permits. Following retirement from the Penguin District School, Lenice worked for over 5 years at the local's Vinnie's store until it closed in 2020, before generating interest and forming a new group that now operates the Penguin Community Op Shop. The Op Shop volunteer numbers have grown significantly, allowing the shop to operate 6 days a week. Through the connection to the community, Lenice has led the way to develop the concept of the Rookery, an adjacent shop which supports the much-needed sharing of donated food and information on support services for those that need help and assistance. Lenny has also volunteered for the Sulphur Creek Coast Care Group and is a current member of the Community Wellbeing Plan Advisory Group. Congratulations to Lenny Wilson on her 2023 Australia Day Citizen of the Year Award. Would you like to say something?
Longer than the other.
It's okay. It's your microphone.
I'd just like to thank the beautiful welcome to country. It's so special for us to be able to witness those lovely sayings and heartfelt greetings from the Aboriginal and First Nations people. And I'd also like to thank Mr Dumbaden for your wonderful speech. It took me down to a memory of me doing the same thing, looking for an uncle in the French on the Somme. So thank you very much. This is a little bit longer than the other young man's. Firstly, I'd like to say congratulations to everyone else that's been nominated for this wonderful award. And I'm very honoured and to be nominated by my fellow executives. I'd just like to take a moment to tell you the story of the Penguin Community Op Shop, although Cheryl has mentioned a fair bit of it. 2020 saw COVID hit Tasmania with the resulting effect of all the retail shutting down, including Vinnie's in Penguin, where I'd only started, and I have to correct this, I've only started volunteering late in 2019. When retail shops started opening up again, we could see that the writing was on the wall for the Penguin shop. It was too small for the Vinnie's new business model. So on July 31st, at a meeting with Vinnie's to hear that the shop was not going to reopen, we, the current volunteers, had thought about this scenario, and we quickly replied that we would like to have an op shop in Penguin. Vinnie's were very supportive of our idea and left us some stocks and shop fittings. So 8 of us set about finding out how to bring this about. A chance conversation with Matt Grining, past principal of the Penguin District School, saw us being able to come under the umbrella of the Penguin District School Association. With the very good financial advice from Max Brown, and if anyone knows Max Brown, you can imagine how I was tutored in finances, and a lot of hard work from our fabulous volunteers. And the businesses of Penguin and the churches in Penguin and then in the idea of the Penguin Community Op Shop came into being on the 1st of October 2020. I would also like to acknowledge the support and encouragement given to me personally and to the Penguin community by our now current mayor. Your "no question is dumb, Lenny" attitude has helped me out numerous times during the past years, and your very quiet mentoring of me in my role as president has been given so freely. So I really appreciate you taking me under your wing, so to speak. For the original 8 volunteers, we're on a steep learning curve. Speaking for myself, I worked in the library at the Penguin Primary School for the past 30 years. So things like insurance, lease agreements, will we have enough stock, shelving, etc., was a big step out of my comfort zone. I only had known books previously. We were, or should I say, I was very worried on how we would have enough money to pay our bills, etc. These worries were very quickly washed away by the outstanding community we have received, outstanding support we have received from the Penguin community and the whole of the Northwest Coast. All profit raised in the op shop are donated back to the Penguin community. I'm very proud to say that approximately $40,000 has been given back so far. (2021) saw us feeling a little bit more confident to step out from the safety of the Penguin District School Association's umbrella and work towards financial independence. So another huge learning curve, opening accounts, bank accounts, FPOS, insurance, and then in 2022, becoming incorporated. I would like to thank Jean, Carmel and Cheryl for all their knowledge and their paperwork involved in this vital step. We held elections for executive positions and the committee, and thus saw us opening on the 30th of June 2022 to become the Penguin Community Op Shop Incorporated. Very early on, and she's here today, one volunteer suggested we should start a free pantry, which led to various discussions about the logistics of having one at our op shop. We decided to embrace this concept, and we had a very small trolley of groceries and frozen meat, which was given to us by a supermarket in Penguin, available for people on Wednesdays for people doing it tough. This worked very well until this winter, where we saw an increase in people coming in and asking for help. As Cheryl mentioned, the dog washing shop next door became available to rent, and with a few setbacks and due to an insurance claim, in October 22, we were able to secure a dry, safe and private place for people in need. The Rookery, as it's named, has been an outstanding success due to our fabulous sponsors who generously give money to buy fridges, freezers, have the electricity overhauled, and David and Barry's carpentry and painting skills, and also under the leadership of Jenny Rowden, it has gone from strength to strength. Also, the continuing generosity of our beloved community. Without their support, none of this would or could happen. I'd also like to acknowledge our wonderful volunteers. Of the original 8, there are 3 of us still volunteering. We have increased our volunteer numbers up to 33. Generous people who willingly fill shifts or buy groceries, take rubbish to the tip or sort out our donations, take washing home from the shop and serve in the shop. They all go above and beyond what they thought they signed up for. I would also like to thank my husband Frank, who gets roped into a few extra jobs every now and then my son Lee, Sophie, grandchildren Matilda and Felix for travelling home to support me today. One more, just a little bit more. And I would humbly accept this award from the Central Coast Council on behalf of my hard-working committee and our amazing volunteers. Thank you.
It's a fabulous story of community capacity. Thank you, Lenny. Our second Citizen of the Year for 2023, who I'd ask to join me on stage, is Robert Mackenzie. Robert's bringing the wind with him. Rob's farming background saw his long-time involvement with rural youth, as well as serve on the management committee of the Sprint School Farm. A significant involvement with Volunteer Fire Brigade saw Rob recognised with a national medal for 30 years service as the captain of the Upper Castra Fire Brigade. His other volunteer work involved driving for community transport, as well as an honorary park ranger carrying out duties at the Shootin Island over many seasons. Rob's most recent volunteer award was from the Tasmanian Men's Shed Association for 2022 Volunteer of the Year. Rob is passionate about helping fellow shedders, arranging health promotion, guest speakers and activities, fishing days, and ensuring that the shed is always moving with the times, including everyone as a valued place for a values place for people to belong and to be connected. Initiating young students from local primary schools to be mentored by a shedder has been a rewarding activity for both the students and the mentors. Rob was instrumental in the development of the Women's Shed, and through his support and assistance, the unflappable and consistently fair, as he is described by his peers, was able to ensure that the Women's Shed group flourished, and then later on, so too the weekly use by the Community Coffin Club. As chairperson of the Committee of Management, Rob has been involved with the Community Shed since day one and has been an effective leader, hands-on for this role for the past 9 years. Congratulations to Robert Mackenzie on his 2023 Australia Day Citizen of the Year Award. Would you like to say a few words?
Oh, thank you. I'd just like to thank everybody and thank you for the welcome to country. It's grand to be recognised. I just didn't expect anything like this to happen. Just go ahead and do what I feel is necessary as far as the shed goes. And I feel I'm a little embarrassed about this award. But anyway, I've enjoyed my time at the shed. It's a great place to meet new people, socialise, and maybe learn some new skills. The shed was set up, originally the shed, men's sheds were set up by a lady, if you would believe, in South Australia in approximately the late 90s, and it's just flourished from there. It's a great place for retirees to come and socialise when blokes leave their workplace. Sometimes they feel a bit lost, and their wives, partners would like to get them out of the house for a while, so get off to the shed and
and learn some new skills and meet some new people. I won't go on for too long. I just also like to thank the council for their support. When we started over there at the old sheep and pig pens, the council developed one section for the men's shed, and within weeks it became obvious that it wasn't necessary. It was too small, I'm sorry. We had to expand, and we just started to expand, and we started pulling the old pens out, unbeknownst to any of the councillors, I believe, and we just went from there, and it's grown and grown, and now we've got 1.5 buildings over there for the members to enjoy the space and the workplaces. The council have done a marvellous job with supporting the men's shed, and it's just a recognition of how successful it's been as to the amount of people that come through there. We're there to fix things, build things. We go on bus trips, we have guest speakers, and we also have a few unsuccessful fishing trips. So I'd like to thank, at this stage, I'd like to thank Barry and the committee and all the members involved, because without them it wouldn't happen. It's just such a easy place to come and visit, and I just welcome anybody that likes to come and have a look and see what we do. And in finishing, I'd just like to thank you all, and once again, I'm very honoured to have received this award. Thank you. Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you very much. Right.
They do fix things, they do build things, and I know firsthand that they fix people and they build people, and I thank them for their work. Next is the community event of the year for 2023, and I'd like to invite the representatives from the Central Coast Street Rod Nationals by ASRF local committee members to come and receive their award. What, no cars? Oh, in the car park. Yeah, good. Thank you. Let me tell you about this event. A highlight event not only for Central Coast, but the entire Northwest region, was the 4-day festival of classic street rods at the Australian Street Rod Federation's Central Coast Nationals in April. The event was nearly 3 years in the planning by a local organising committee of members from the various Tasmanian street rod clubs who worked closely with council over that time. The impact of COVID-19 restrictions over the 2 preceding years meant that the Central Coast Nationals was the first major gathering of street rods around Australia since 2019, and firmly in the national street rod spotlight. 450 cars in total, with accommodation across Central Coast and surrounds, fully occupied in the lead up to and during the festival. The Ulverston Showground Precinct provided the base for all the activities, including hosting the welcome barbecue, registration and breakfasts, social gatherings each evening, camping for 45 interstate entrants, and the final celebration in Stadium 1, attended by nearly 700 people. Highlights of the Nationals were events held in Ulverston, the Park and Parade, the Show and the Shine. As dusk fell, the streets were cleared for approximately 150 street rods to parade between the river and the clock. An estimated 5,000 people lined Raby Street in places 3 or 4 deep to admire the historic machines as they cruised. On Sunday, the community had an opportunity to get even closer to the classic vehicles with a show and shine event at the showground. This national event was a tremendous success, enjoyed by 4 generations of car enthusiasts and curious locals alike. Mark Brazendale is the chairperson of the organising committee collecting this award today. Please pass on our congratulations, Mark, to the rest of your team of volunteers that made the 2022 such a success.
I would. This is Grant Sutton, the Tasmanian president of the ASRF. That's had a lot to do with the Nationals too. I'd like to thank the Central Coast Council for their generosity in sponsoring the event and all the support we received from them. The members of the committee for their hard work, all the members of the hot rod clubs in Tasmania who banded together to make this event possible. A big thank you to Susan Clear for all the help with tourist information and supplying of all our information bags. I would especially like to thank Robert Burke and his staff at the venue for all the hard work and understanding. Also Simon Angeli for all his help, guidance and friendship during the planning and during the event. Without Robert and Simon, help, this event would never went ahead. So thank you again. Thank you.
For acknowledging their staff.
That's all right. Oops. He caught that. Thank you very much.
See you later for a photo. Thank you, Mark. And as an organisation, it is our great pleasure to support that event and others similarly. The final presentation today is for the Community Group of the Year, and this award goes to the Friends of the Ulverston Cemetery, and I would invite their representatives to join me on stage. It will. They assured me. We had a surveyor. Sign it off. It's all good. Thank you. I'd like to congratulate the Community Group of the Year, Friends of the Ulverston Cemetery, a volunteer group dedicated to the restoration and refurbishment of graves, as well as celebrate the history and share stories with families and the broader community. Through support from some grant funding, but mostly with hours upon hours of labour, the goodwill of the community has enabled this group to continue their work at the cemetery, and the group is very proud to have enabled the grave sites to be a place of reflection and remembrance, along with praise and gratitude from visitors and families. Our community is greatly appreciative. The Ulverston Cemetery has been in use since the 1860s and is resting over 420 veterans who have served in various conflicts. In 2021, a memorial was unveiled and dedicated to those resting veterans. In recent years, these volunteers have done some extensive work to the baby graves, 3 years of work on the baby section, adding timber frames and also adding a seat and paving stones to the side, and also planted roses. These roses add a sprinkling of colour that brightens an otherwise sad section of the cemetery. Thank you and congratulations on being recognised as the 2023 Community Group of the Year. Thanks. Do you want me to hold it? What do you say?
Thank you. My name is John Gillies, and members of our little group is Rhonda, Jeanette, Dave, Helen, Ken and Bev. We are the group that make up the Friends of the Ulverston Cemetery. We are a small group of volunteers who work restoring, researching graves in the old Ulverston Cemetery. It is not just a matter of doing the graves up that is in the state of repair, but there is a huge amount of research goes into it. We found over 400 servicemen and women in which we have attended their graves and placed headstones and plaques on them. We have named 47 babies in the cemetery. We have named 250 graves previously unmarked. We've put up a monument to recognise the 400 military servicemen and women from all wars. We have placed 4 additional seats in the cemetery. We have started a few gardens. We have recorded, researched, photographed the 2,000 graves. We have re-cemented, gravelled, painted, cleaned and gold lettering. We could not have achieved this without the grateful support of the public and our fundraising. We thank the Service Clubs of Ulverston, the Central Coast Council, Roland View Estate and the public donations. We will continue this work into the future. So on behalf of the Friends of the Ulverston Cemetery, I thank you for this award. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. And it's not a usual place for you to go for a Sunday drive, but if you haven't been to the Lovett Street Ulverston Cemetery for a while, I would encourage you to do so and see firsthand their great work. And I know that they're always after volunteers if it's something that sounds like a good idea to you. Brings us to the end of the presentation of award, James and Tara, so it must be back to you.
Thank you, Mayor Fuller. And congratulations to all of the award recipients for today. Give them a round of applause.
Thanks, Tara. Could I add my personal thanks to that as well? Now, we do have a number of other thank yous to run through, so let's acknowledge and recognise the work that's gone in to make today such a success. The Ulverston Municipal Band, our singer for the National Anthem, Talira, Welcome to Country from Lyndon and Aaron O'Neill, the terrific address from Ton Dunbabin, Lions Club of Ulverston, Lions Club of Forth Valley, Rotary Club of Ulverston, Leven District Scout Association, Central Coast Girl Guide Association, the North West Woodcraft Guild, the council staff and the National Australia Day Council. I'd also like to add my personal thanks to my co-host Tara, who we worked out that we'd be doing this together today, and she said, "Oh, James, I'm not too sure about this." Well, I think you've done a terrific job, Tara. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking Tara. And that does quite literally conclude the formal part of today's celebrations. Now, there are some other things going on over the course of the day. So the Australia Day on the Beach with the Ringmasters, the Ulverston Surf Club from midday onwards. Now, the Ulverston Water Slide is operating today from 12 till 5, and you'll be pleased to hear that myself, the Mayor and the General Manager, we're all going down to make good use of it. You can see we're dressed for it, so we'll keep an eye out for you down there. Members of the Central Coast community, thanks for joining us here today. It's been a great privilege to be here, to be with you, and to hear of the terrific work being done in the community. Enjoy the rest of your day. I didn't think you'd appreciate being invited to join us at the water slide.